Resistance. Well, the concepts of trading level support and resistance are easily two of the most highly discussed attributes of technical analysis. Now, this is an important part of analyzing chart patterns. At first, the explanation and idea behind identifying these levels might seem easy, but as you'll find out, support and resistance can come in various forms, and the concept is more difficult to master than it first appears. Firstly, what is support? Support can be viewed as the floor, that is, the price at which more buyers start coming in to support the price of a stock, essentially preventing the price from declining further, also known as preventing breakdown to the downside. Now, support is the price level at which demand is thought to be strong enough to prevent the price from declining further. Let's say that the downtrend can be expected to pause at these levels and buying interest for a stock goes up. What is resistance? Resistance can be viewed as the ceiling, that is, the price that finds more sellers that resist the upward rise of stock prices. Think about breakouts to the upside having a strong resistance. Now, essentially, at these levels, there is selling interest for a stock whose prices have increased quite a bit. Now, whatever time frame you are trading, you can see these on the charts where the stock price bounced to the upside from a low and where it stopped going higher. Now, the more the number of times you see this on a chart, it could be easier to establish the support and resistance. Now, why do we need this? Essentially, to identify price points on a chart where the probabilities favor a pause or reversal of a prevailing trend. Now, once you identify these levels, you can use it to identify entry points or exit points for a trade. Now, two things can happen once the stock price hits these levels. So, say a stock hits the support here. Say it hits the support. Now, two things that can happen. So, at this point, either the buying interest is going to go up, so the stock can either go back up or it could violate these established support levels and a breakdown to the downside could occur until the stock hits the next support level. Now, that violated support level would become the new resistance, if you know what I mean. Again, technical analysis is not an exact science, so these support and resistance points are not very precise. So price movements can be volatile and briefly dip below support. For example, it does not seem logical to consider that the support level is broken if the price closes a fraction below the established support level. So for this reason, some traders and investors establish support zones. So say for the first time a stock has a support at $39, so in this case, the next time after a few months of trading in a range, it has a support at $40. And also keep in mind that the number of times a stock price tests a support or resistance area, the more significant the level becomes. So when prices keep bouncing off of a support or resistance level, more buyers and sellers would notice this and will base their trading decisions on these levels. Again, forget the fundamentals of any stock and keep that aside for now, but market psychology plays a huge role in trading simply because traders remember the past and react to changing conditions to anticipate future market movements. Now, what are the different methods available to establish these levels? Again, this can be identified on charts using trend lines. Moving averages can also be used as a support and resistance levels, but more on that later when we discuss moving averages. I've dedicated a separate video for this. Before I explain trend lines to establish these levels, there is another interesting thing that traders use to establish resistance when a stock is going up and support when a stock is going down. So this is called as round number price magnets. I have not written anything about it here, but an oversimplification here again is if the stock price Well, the stock price might have a difficult time moving beyond a round number, such as, say, $50 or $100 per share. So, this price will often be tested, and this is something that you need to keep in mind. Anyways, over to trend lines. A stock is said to be in an uptrend if it makes a series of higher highs and higher lows. And a stock is said to be in a downtrend if it makes a series of lower highs and lower lows. Now, to get the trend line support and resistance, so again, if a stock is trending up, you would draw a straight line connecting all the higher lows to get the trend line support, and draw a line connecting all the higher highs to get the trend line resistance. So in this case, what we've done here is, and we just did the opposite for a stock that is trending down. What is a stock that is trending down? If it makes a series of lower highs and lower lows. So I'm connecting all the lower highs to get the trend line resistance, and all the lower lows are being connected here to get the trend line support. So again, the basic rule is that a stock's price will bounce upward off of a trendline support and downward off of a trendline resistance. So when a trend line is broken, especially on a high volume, then the gain momentum will push the stock significantly either above or below the broken trend line. If it's, so in this case, we're looking at a downward trending stock. So you can use this as a trend line resistance and use this as a trend line support and then trade. So say a stock hits here, you can go long and sell once the stock hits the trend line resistance. Likewise, you can go short here and buy it back to cover here. Now, if a stock does not trend and if it moves sideways, as you can see here, then that is called as a range bound stock. And in this case, you would use the horizontal support and resistance. So we can connect variable pivot highs and lows, and it has the appearance of a rectangle pattern here. Again, it consists of at least 4 connect points. So this is because it needs at least 2 lows to connect as well as 2 highs. But in this case, you can see that the stock is clearly range bound. It's trading sideways. Right? Now, you can manually look through charts to locate these to trade the support and resistance pattern. For example, if a stock is trending up or range bound, you can buy a stock at the support and sell at the resistance. Likewise, I mentioned earlier that you can short the stock at resistance and buy it back at support when we were talking about the trend line resistance and support. Again, if you use finviz.com, so for example, this chart, I pulled it off from finviz.com, it automatically recognizes these patterns, and I will show all this on Finviz in the next video. This is going to make our life easy just to understand these concepts, and if you want to trade these patterns, it's going to be very, very helpful. Thank you. Let's look at a stock chart to see if we can establish support and resistance levels or the zones. So for this, I'm going to take Amazon. Let's see what the stock chart is to see if we can pull the support and resistance levels. All right, it looks like in the past 6 months, Amazon has been trading pretty much in a range. It's been a range-bound stock, and quick glance, I would say that in the short term, perhaps support seems to be around, well, I would say 3100 seems to be a fair support for Amazon. And for resistance, I'd say maybe, okay, let's say 3450. Around 3450 is a good resistance. It could go up. Well, 3450, you can even say 3500 perhaps as a resistance. So I'd say it's range bound between 3100 to 3500. So in this case, Amazon turned out to be a range bound stock, so it was somewhat easy to glance the support and the resistance levels. Talked earlier about support resistance concepts. Here I want to show you how we can use The Finvis site, I think I talked about this earlier. So let's see how we can bring some of these concepts to life, as well as also build some trading strategies around support and resistance so that we can drive home some profits. Now, Finvis is great because for any stock chart you pull, you don't have to worry about establishing these support and resistance levels manually because their algorithms do it for you. So let me show you these. Now, once you get into the website, you can see signal here. So you see trend line support, trend line resistance, horizontal support resistance, and then you see all these tickers associated with those particular signals. Now what we need to do is, so let's say trend line support, these are the stocks with the current price near the strong trend line support. Now you could go long on some of these stocks once you look at the full stock chart and once you understand what the trend is. Trend line resistance, these are the stocks with the current price near strong trend line resistance. Again, you can look at potential shorting opportunities, but then you have to look at the full chart to get that picture in mind before you take some decisions to trade. Horizontal support and resistance, these are the stocks with the current price near strong horizontal support and resistance. Again, you have to look at the chart to see whether they are near support or resistance and then build your trading strategies around it. So, but once you get into the signal, once you pull up some of those charts, you will see what I mean. And again, you can also look at channel up, channel and channel down. These are fairly similar to the support and resistance. Channel up is nothing but stocks that are in an uptrend, and you can see the current price is near the strong channel up pattern. Again, I will show you this so you will understand what they actually mean. Again, channel is similar to the horizontal support and resistance, and channel down is stocks with the current price near strong channel down pattern. Again, in each of these patterns you will see the support and resistance, and you can build strategies to either go long or go short. So let's go through one by one. So let me click trend line support. As you can see, it's pulling a list of all the stocks that are near their trend line support. Now sometimes again, this scan might be slightly off, but once you look at the chart, you will know where the stock is. So let me go through VFC, for example. So trend line support. So in this case, it looks like the stock has been trending high. When I say it's been trending high, you can see the higher highs and the higher lows, and then all the highs are being connected to get the trend line resistance, and all the lows are being connected to get the trend line support. So this scan is identifying stocks that are nearing the trend line support. So for example, this stock is here at $79.51, which is the support line. Now you don't have to worry about manually establishing these, as you can clearly see the resistance and the support lines. Now you can potentially consider going long in this stock. You can buy the stock because the stock is nearing the trend line support line. And so for example, you can enter at 79.51. So tomorrow when on Monday or Tuesday when the market opens, today is Friday, the February 12th, so Monday is family day here. So the market opens only on Tuesday. So let's say on Tuesday you go long at around maybe 79.60 or whatever. You have a potential opportunity to make about somewhere near $89, $90 is where you see the trend line resistance. So the stock has a potential to run up to $90. So let's say you get in at 80 and you have the potential of making $10. The reason why I want to go long is the stock is in an uptrend, so I would consider going long once it hits the trend line support. Now you can keep the stop loss at say maybe a few points below this support line. I would say somewhere between $75 could be a good stop loss here for this particular stock. Now let's go through horizontal support and resistance. So this is fairly similar to the range bound stocks where you can see the support lines and the resistance lines that are being drawn. So this is a classic example again. So you can see the horizontal resistance line at the top, horizontal support line at the bottom. The Finviz chart already populates this line for you, so you don't have to manually draw this. Now let's see where the stock is trading at. So it is not nearing support just yet. It looks like it has, where's the support line? Is it about, so about $9. So right now it's at 9.76. So I would wait for the stock to come down to $9 to potentially go long, with a stop loss a few points below that $9 entry. So again, you have a potential to make, the resistance is at let's say $13. So from $9 to $13, so you have a $4 potential profit. Again, you can go long once it hits the support line. Let's look at trend line resistance. So this is showing all the stocks that are near the trend line resistance. So again, in an uptrend, all the lows are being connected to get the trend line support, all the highs are being connected to get the trend line resistance. Now I would urge caution if you want to short these stocks, just because some of these stocks are nearing the trend line resistance and you would hope for it to come back to the resistance, to the support. Because the stock is in an uptrend, I would urge caution, because if it keeps going higher, you would lose money. So let me pull up this chart, for example. Eric. So simply because the stock hit the trend line resistance a few days ago on the 3rd of February, if you think you can go short simply because the stock will come back down to the support at around $12, you might be wrong, because the stock is continuously trending higher. So you have to follow the stock trend. So I would not short the stock. As you can see, this is breaking above the resistance and it's continuing to move up. So I would urge caution. Now let's look at channel up. Similarly, like I mentioned, stocks in an uptrend. So you can see the trend line resistance, which is connecting all the highs, and trend line support connecting all the lows. Fairly similar to the trend line support scan, where you see stocks nearing the trend line support. But in this case, you have to look at the chart to see whether it is near resistance or support. The channel up scan just pulls all the stocks that are in an uptrend, right? So let me pull, this might be a good example. The reason why I picked this is because this candle is near the support. So you can consider going long for this particular scan, for this channel up trend. If you look at this, for example, stock is nearing resistance, so I would wait. I would not short the stock because the stock's in a strong uptrend. I would wait for it to come back to the support line to go long. Let's look at channel. Channel would be fairly similar to the horizontal support and resistance, but again, you have to look at the chart to see whether it's at support or whether it's at resistance, or if it's in between the two. So here, the channel is, again, it's a range bound stock. Stock is nearing support levels, so you can consider going long. But here again, what's interesting with Finviz is it shows that the stock tried to break this resistance level, but it failed to break this resistance on numerous occasions. So meaning this is a very strong resistance level. So meaning you could short the stock if it does not break out of that particular range, which is the $7 range. Let's see channel down. So channel down is interesting because it pulls all the stocks that are on a downward trend. Here you can see all the lower highs are connected and then the lower lows are connected to get the trend line resistance and the trend line support. So in this case, again, you have to see where the stock is trading at. So because the channel is downward, I would look at going short once the stock hits the trend line resistance. I would not consider going long when it hits the trend line support, simply because the stock is in a downtrend. I would urge caution to go long in these stocks where the trend is against you, right? So I would consider shorting this all the time it hits the trend line resistance. So for example, in this particular stock, it is near the resistance line. So we could potentially consider going short at around 22.96, and then you could buy back to cover or close your trade at around maybe $21. So that will give you a potential, a potential profit opportunity. So I guess I went through each of those different scans where you see the trend line support and resistance, and you can see how we can build some trading strategies to just simply trade the support and the resistance line, and then you can make a few profits. Again, not, the strategy will not work all the time, but for the most part, all traders are looking at this support and resistance lines, and they're going to be making decisions. So you have a high probability of making profitable trades by looking at these scans and Finways. Again, this is just the free version. If you want, you can do a paid version and do far more complicated screeners, but then for our purpose, just to trade the support resistance concept, this is more than enough, and I've showed you enough examples. Thank you.